Welcome back to the Cossy channel. My name is Cossy. Welcome back to a brand new video. Arsenal have agreed past 2 terms with their second signing of the summer after a deal was struck a couple of days ago. Arsenal and now moving on to Rodrigo. They're optimistic a deal will be agreed with the player Real Madrid to sign Rodrigo. He's the #1 target, and Nico Williams could be going to Bayern Munich. We're also going to be talking about the striker situation. David Ornstein reporting on that, saying that it is getting clearer and clearer and clearer at the moment. Arsenal have 3 options, but Benjamin Sesko is the one that Arsenal are advanced in negotiations with. We shall also talk about Sesko getting the shirt number 14. I've seen it, guys. Should Benjamin Sesko get that shirt number 14 at Arsenal? We know the legend of the shirt number 14. We know the guy that last did wonders in the shirt number 14. Ever since then, of course, we have seen Theodore James Walcott put it on, didn't work out. We have seen, Nketiah as well put it on, and he didn't live up to the expectations of the shirt number. Should Benjamin Sesko get the shirt 14? We were hoping that Arsenal sign Newcastle's Alexander Isak this summer, and it was a no-brainer that Alexander Isak would have been requested to put on shirt number 14. But is Benjamin Sesko worthy of shirt number 14? Can you see him? Can you see a bit of Henry Thierry in him? I'm not trying to compare them, but I'm trying to say, if he put on the shirt number 14, can he actually bring back the glory days of Arsenal and the shirt number 14? Hit the like button. Talk to me in the comment box below. Let's start off with the Athletic. They're reporting that past 2 terms have now been agreed between Kepa and Arsenal. It's going to be Arsenal's second signing of the summer, and a deal is at final stages. Arsenal approached Chelsea last week to try and find out whether the release clause, which was 5 million, was actually activatable. And yes, it is activatable. By the time the contract of the player expires, Arsenal will trigger the release clause of Kepa Arrizabalaga and then sign him. Paperwork not an issue. The process is not an issue. It's quite simple. It's quite straightforward. There are no corners. Arsenal have always considered Kepa, according to The Athletic, as a low-option world-class goalkeeper, and they signed him considering a couple of things. They've talked about the nationality, they've talked about the experience of the player, but they've also talked about the easiness and how easy the deal is actually to do. But personal terms have now agreed, ironed out, between Arsenal and Kepa. There is nothing standing in the way of this deal, apart from Arsenal working everything with Chelsea and getting everything done. I've talked about Kepa in the first video that I actually put out 3 days ago. Please go and watch it. Kepa is a very good deal to Arsenal, and we are getting the right player to compete with David Raya. Obviously, right at the moment, Arsenal have one of the best talents in goal in Tommy Setford. He can compete with David Raya, he can give him a run for his money. But David Raya will know and will think, however good Tommy Setford is, the manager is actually not going to give him 90 minutes of football in the Premier League or 180 minutes of football in the Premier League. But with the arrival of a goalkeeper like Kepa, he's played in Spain, he's played in the Premier League, he's played a full season as #1 at Bournemouth. David Raya will be concerned. There will be tension, but not too much tension to destabilize Raya, but not too little tension, not too little pressure to actually make him feel comfortable. And that's why, for me, I think this is a very good deal. Now, I want to answer these 3 concerns that people on this channel have about Kepa. Is he a Chelsea reject? Yes. He was signed for 75 million, and actually, it didn't work out. Yes, he is a Chelsea reject. But if you want to look at him as a Chelsea reject, well and good. But I'll tell you that Georginio was signed from Chelsea, and he did a great job at Arsenal. Yes, Raheem Sterling was signed from Chelsea. That was bad. William Gallas was signed from Chelsea. That was bad. Willian was signed from Chelsea. That was bad. And and David Luiz, I think, as well. Was he signed from Chelsea as well? Yeah. So I will understand anyone that actually says the partnerships between Arsenal and Chelsea are not really bearing fruit. Because I look at Kai Havertz and I'm like, what was the thinking behind this deal? Maybe we'll give him another season and see. So yes, he's a Chelsea reject, and yes, you're not happy with that, but he's a player that is really talented. He's a player that is really experienced, and we could use that. Forget the Chelsea reject thing. He's not even going to start every single game. He's going to be playing in the FA Cup. He's going to be playing in the Carabao Cup. That is a goalkeeper I can trust to play some games, even in the FA Champions League group stages. That is a goalkeeper I can trust against Crystal Palace, against Brentford. That is a goalkeeper I can trust against the big mid-table teams. So yes, he's a Chelsea reject, but I am not bothered about that. Number 2, he's a flop. Now, yes, he is a flop, right? He is a flop. There's no question about that. If you're signed for 75 million and now you're going for 5 million, you are a flop. No question about that. A 75 million goalkeeper is the likes of Donnarumma, the likes of Mike Maignan, that you must have an established position at your club. But a flop really doesn't mean that that player isn't good at all. Think about this. Arsenal let go of Serge Gnabry, and we considered him a flop at Arsenal. We considered him a player that really didn't give us enough value. And he goes to Bayern and he bangs. So think about the Alexis Sanchez flop story. Barcelona, he flops. He comes to Arsenal, he bangs. So yes, he is a flop, but it's a flop that Arsenal can get some good quality and value out of. And the final concern people have about Kepa is the age. I don't have a problem with the age. Younger goalkeepers make better second choice goalkeepers. That is a theory that, like, we just have socially. It is not even true. We don't know whether young goalkeepers make second choice goalkeepers. But for me, I know they're from the same country, they will communicate well, and they can take Arsenal to the next level, Kepa and David Raya. Now, Arsenal will move on from the goalkeeper situation, the striker situation, and the Martins Zubimendi situation, and their eyes are focused on getting a winger. However, at the moment, it looks like Bayern are making good progress on signing Nico Williams. Therefore, Arsenal have got to put all their eggs in this Rodrigo basket. Is it worth it? Should we put all our eggs in the Rodrigo basket? I'm going to explain. And can Arsenal really get it done? I'm also going to explain. Now, according to Athletic and the Sky Sports, Arsenal really people inside Arsenal really like Rodrigo. They rate him, and Mikel Arteta is convinced that he can actually come in and do a good job. I think about Rodrigo the way Arsenal signed Mesut Ozil for me. I think about Rodrigo the way Arsenal signed Alexis Sanchez. This is the caliber of a player that would come into a club like Arsenal, and he is the star, and he will outshine everyone, in my opinion. Because think about Alexis Sanchez. He was at Udinese, and he was cracking it open. Then he goes to Barcelona, he flops. He comes to Arsenal, and at Arsenal, he only had Ozil as the next best thing. So Sanchez and Ozil were the stars of the team. They played beautiful football. I still remember Ozil passing to Sanchez, and I still remember Sanchez passing to Ozil, skipping all the other players. Like all the other players don't exist. Now imagine Rodrigo comes to a team where you already have Declan Rice on the left-hand side, you already have Ricardo Calafiori on the left-hand side, and you have Miles, Lewis Skelly, and Gabriel Magalhaes. He's gonna be cooking. He's going to be cooking. Like, I'm going to explain why the deal is it would take a long process, but for me, he would absolutely cook. No question about that. A big question is about his availability. The player loves Real Madrid, like 100%. He's committed to Real Madrid. He would love to stay at Real Madrid. But Real Madrid have to get their answer from Xabi Alonso. If Xabi Alonso says, Rodrigo, mate, you've got to go, then he will go. But Arsenal are confident that once that happens, once Madrid tell Rodrigo, you can go, they can actually go and do the deal. Madrid wants 80 million euros to 90 million euros. I think for me, that is fair. If you sign Rodrigo goes for 75 million pounds and you sign Kai Havertz for 65 million pounds, you're actually making progress. You're not going. backwards. But like I said, there are a few questions to ask on this deal, right? Can Arsenal actually do it? Financially, we have been told by the athletes that Arsenal are very concerned about the numbers involved with deals. And the question I have here is this. If Arsenal have enough money to put on the table, right, for Dean Huijsen 50 million, why don't we have enough money to put on the table for Rodrigo? I think Arsenal financially have got the money. It was reported that Arsenal are one of the most profitable clubs in the Premier League era, and if they wanted a player costing 200 million, they would actually be able to afford him. If Arsenal wanted a summer costing 200 million, we would be able to actually afford it. So if we can afford a summer of 200 million, Rodrigo is affordable. It's a doable deal financially. Can the player accept to play for Arsenal? Well, it depends on the ambition and also depends on how good we sell the project to the player. I think this is about the player really wanting to be a part of a community that understands him, a family that understands him, rather than him being a superstar. So if we sell the project well, yes, we can actually sign him. Okay, so Rodrigo right there. Arsenal really hoping that Madrid let him go, and then we can actually pounce on the opportunity. I was told Manchester City are there. Don't know much about that because they've really spent some money around, but they have the money. They can spend more than what they have already done. Well, the striker situation is getting clearer and clearer according to David Ornstein, and he says that this week or the coming week we should be getting very clear news on who Arsenal's number one target is, and it should be very advanced. But there is something that Ornstein has said today, and I was like, what? Wait a minute. And I want to share with you. That. So he has actually said that Arsenal have not yet decided between the three options. They are still in talks with Gyökeres. They are still in talks with Šeško. They are still in talks with Watkins. They have not yet gone to the final stage of deciding. Well, you can look at this in two ways. One, he's lying, isn't he? He's lying. I do not think Arsenal have not decided. You don't go deep on one deal and leave the other deals shallow, and then after you say, we've not yet decided, we've not decided, no. Arsenal have decided. That's the truth. Let's not lie ourselves. Arsenal have decided, and they want to sign Šeško. That's the player. Okay? So all the advancements and all the situations that we are actually going to get are going to be on Benjamin Šeško. I'm not saying this is a bad deal. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I've already understood that Gyökeres is going to cost more than the reported 70 million euros, and his agent wants a lot of money, and the salaries are going to be big. So I know it's no longer a market opportunity, so I understand I'm backing Arsenal to go and do the other deal. But for Ornstein to tell us even that right about now, Arsenal are still undecided, like as if we might see a Gyökeres thing, or we might see a Watkins thing. I think Gyökeres and Watkins only happen if Šeško fails. That is the truth. And I don't want to lie to you, and I don't want anyone to lie to us. Šeško is the priority, and it should get clearer by the time. Šeško could get the shirt number 14 at Arsenal. Remember, the shirt 14 was last worn by Edin Nketiah. Now, Benjamin Šeško could be the next player to put on shirt number to put on shirt number 14. The legendary shirt number that Thierry Henry created. And no player has actually given us the quality Thierry gave us in that shirt number 14. Think about Walcott, think about Nketiah. No one has actually been able to give us that. Do you think, I want to know your thoughts, do you think Šeško should get the shirt number 14? And do you think he can live up to the expectation of that shirt number? Because for me, if you get the shirt number 14 at Arsenal, you're promising the team 14 goals, right? every half season, and that's about 28 goals or 25 goals every single full season. Can he give us 20-25? Yes, he can. I'm going to back Šeško. I told you it's time for me to back Šeško, and maybe it's time for you to back Šeško too.